Welcome back, everybody. Take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Here with Mark Spector today, of course.
That's it. Yep, I'm Mark Spector. No, who's the cab driver? That's who I want to be. Everybody thinks they're Mark wants to be Mark Spector, but they really want to be I forget who the cabbie's name is. The guy.
I think you're the mental. I think you're the mental patient.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, also true. Yeah, everybody wants to be Mark Spector, but everybody in reality is the mental patient. Correct. Yes.
Yeah, you remind me more of the mental patient, Alex.
It's funny. I see dead bird people all the time. So weird how that works out.
All right, what do we got today, Alex?
No superhero, no Marvel, and no DC today.
Got it.
Today we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat.
Finish him. Cyrax wins. Friendship. Friendship again?
We're going to talk
surprising
about...
we never mentioned it. We never saw
absolutely surprising. Yes. We talked about Street Fighter. We're going to talk Grimjack, which is a classic, and then Transformers Beast Wars. And that is an exciting time to talk about for me.
Beast Wars! Beast Wars!
Correct. Correct. All right. So what are we going to start with today, Alex?
Mortal Kombat, one of the best fighting games of all time.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we never talked about it, right?
Yeah, and these books, almost all of these books are worth something.
I think now that the Super Mario movie has come off, I think you're going to start to see a lot of this stuff. Yep. All right. So talk to us a little bit about Mortal Kombat.
Well, if you don't know what Mortal Kombat is, you've probably been living in a cave. But it is a fighting game that Midway put out, and I think might be the biggest, next to Street Fighter, might be the biggest fighting game of all time. It was probably one of the first games that like had blood and gore that was like really like people were like looking at. Mortal Kombat 2 is huge, Mortal Kombat 3 was huge, and then every few years you start seeing more and more Mortal Kombat, and it's like the Zeitgeist, right? Like Mortal Kombat is like, people that don't play video games are like, oh, I played that on Super Nintendo, or I used to play that in the arcade, and they know the characters. You know who Scorpion is. I think the movies in the 90s, I love them. They're a little weird, but the last one that came out that was like, I guess it didn't make so much money, but it was a really good Mortal Kombat movie. It's just fan favorite, and it's again video games. Both worlds, right? So there was a video game, and there was an animated series, and then there was G.I. Joe's versions, and it's just a big franchise. It's a huge franchise.
Right. Well, these books are selling for huge money.
Yes.
It's hard to believe that we hadn't talked about it before. Okay.
I know.
You're going to have to come up. You're going to have to explain some of these because they're very expensive. Okay. Mortal Kombat, the comic book, unnumbered 1992, 17.9.8, 16.9.6 is a 9.8 recently sold over $2,000.
Wow.
Wraparound cover, John Tobias story, John Tobias and Andy Kudelka cover and art. I would have assumed they probably printed a lot of these copies back in the day, but maybe kids manhandled them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Like, this is something that maybe like it was definitely just the video game people. The comic book people, I don't think cared. It wasn't as big.
Yeah, so Mortal Kombat #1 came out July of 94, 48.9.8. That's a $185 book in 9.8, not that expensive. Charles Marshall story, Patrick Rollo and Bobby Ray art. Then there's a gold foil edition, 32.9.8, 199. A 9.4 was recently $200. A 9.8 is not over $900.
Wow.
So that one's very expensive.
Crazy.
Then there's a limited edition cover, 29.8. That's about a $500 book. Then there's the regular variant cover, 29.8, 19.9. That's about a $75 book. Then in 1994, in December, the Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, 8.98s, 4.96s, and 9.8 is recently $250. Charles Marshall story, Patrick Rollo, Richard Emmond, Abraham Madison, and Larry Welch art. And here's the one I want you to talk about, Alex. Yeah. Spawn number 306, NetherRealm edition. 17. Why are you laughing?
because this is a crazy book. This book is crazy.
Okay. 17 9.8s, 10 9.6s, a 9.6 recently sold for $3,500. So explain what this is.
So this is a weird promo that was given away. So Spawn was in one of the Mortal Kombat games. And this is a promo that was printed for the Final Kombat 2020 gaming competition in Chicago. So they were having a Mortal Kombat competition. These are going to be prizes given out for, you know, people that were in the event. But remember what happened in 2020 was everything shut down. So these were already printed. These were already delivered. And some of them have leaked out, you know, whether this was, you know, supposedly some of the people that were in the tournament still played the tournament online because you could play video games online. So they got these as prizes, and I think they got a couple of them. But you know, you're talking about something that was like, I think that nobody understands what the print run was, but the place they were going to have the tournament could only hold 1,000 people. So you assume that they probably printed 1,000, maybe 2,000 just to cover their butts. That's still a small print run. That's very small. 2,000 copies. And considering this wasn't a public event, whatever copies are in the world, you know, might be the only copies that we see, or there's somebody trickling them out slowly. But even if that's the case, it's still a small print run. You'll never see them all out there. It's going to be years before they all hit market. You know, would it drive the price down? Maybe, but you know, it's still something where if you can find it maybe raw and like a nice shape, or you get a good deal, I'd still pick it up. Spawn comics are always worth money. Doesn't matter.
Right. It feels like a book that you definitely would have missed out on.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I would have been at the tournament. I would have been number one at the tournament, and they would have offered it to me, and I would have said no, thank you. That's
Or
how
you would
much
have just like given it. You would have given it away. I don't collect Spawn.
Some kid. I rolled it in the back pocket, put it in my back pocket. Yeah, definitely.
You have the worst luck with this stuff.
It's not the greatest. Correct. Correct.
All right. Alex's pick of the week. What do you got?
I want to talk about something we really don't. We mentioned sometimes in our rundown of like first appearances, but I want to talk about second appearances, because I think second appearances is a good key book to have if you can't afford a first appearance of Hulk or a first appearance of Wolverine, right? Hulk 181s are astronomically expensive. There's no way you're going to get it. No way. But a Hulk 182, you can get a $500 nice copy, you know, 9.6, 9.0, you can get $500. That's better than paying the $3,000 for a 6.0 or whatever they're going for these days. Hercules, like, Journey into Mystery 124. That's like $150, $200 book. Like, these are second appearances. Don't mean that they're not worth something. They're always going to be worth something. And if you can't afford a big book like a first appearance and it's your favorite character, second appearances I think are great pickups, and those always go up well as well. When Hercules has his MCU movie, that second appearance is going to go up just as much as the first appearance. So if you're looking to pick up books to flip later, or you're looking to pick up something that you of a character you love before they go crazy, second appearances are just as good. I think it's a good cheap option with it also being a collectible.
You know what's some of my favorite variant covers? I'm surprised they didn't do more of these with a 1 minute later. It always makes me think of the 1 minute later covers, where they're like, what would have happened, 1 minute after. Mm-hmm. I always wonder, like if they made that more of a regular thing, like if you have Hulk 181, right? And then you do like the 1 minute later cover. Yeah. Like what would that look like? Right. I feel like they should have done more of that. That's why you said second appearances. Because
I mean, that's a fun concept, right? That's a fun concept.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What do we got next, Alex?
We are getting right back into it, and we're going to talk Grimjack. Our first time talking Grimjack. Independent.
It's going to be an animated series on Amazon.
Everything's being bought. Everything's being bought. Good for them.
So talk to me a little bit about Grimjack, Alex.
So Grimjack, and I had to do a little bit more research because you asked me. If you ask me what is a Grimjack, I'd say, it's a comic that's been around for a while, but I don't think I've ever read it.
I know, it's funny, right?
Ever.
How did it get picked up?
And I could see it in my head. But I couldn't tell you anything about it.
You know the logo. The logo is
the logo, the character, the hat with the knife. Like, I know it, but I don't know it. Grimjack is a character in this kind of like fantasy world where like magic and like technology are a thing. It's a weird. The main character is also like his family was all messed up, and like his brothers were messed up, and he got sent away, and he had to come back and kill his brothers, and he knows a little magic, and he's a detective. It's just one of these books that was like, here's a small, it's a character. He's a detective. There's magic. There's guns. There's knives. On a separate world, go. And then they took it on for how many ever issues or whatever. But a huge independent success, and just one of those things that's been around forever. And like you're right, Amazon animated series. And there was a little, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a little animated series from Amazon called Invincible that took off, and people ended up liking it. If it's anything in that vein, these books are going to go really high. And I think that right now they're kind of easy to get to.
Right. So Warp number 5 from First Comics. It was August of 1983.
Mm-hmm.
There are 13 9.8s, 17 9.6s. A 9.6 recently sold for $125. Frank Bruner and Peter Gillis story, Frank Bruner and Bruce Patterson art, Frank Bruner cover.
Yeah, and then that guy, and he's barely in the background of that. So it's a first appearance,
right.
But like cameo, right? Like a Hulk 180 cameo.
Yeah. Right. First appearance is Star Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
This book is hard to find. I haven't seen this book. I don't remember what this book looked like. Star Slayer number 10 from First Comics from November of 83. This is going to be a tough book, but there's actually 78 9.8s, believe it or not. So it's a $235 book. First appearance of Grimjack, John Ostrander story, Lennon Daysol and Mike Gustovich cover and art. And then there's the 1984 series, Grimjack number 1. August of 84, 10 9.8s, 24 9.6s. It's about a $75 plus book, John Ostrander story, Tim Truman cover and art. All right, what are we closing with today, Alex?
Some of my favorite Transformers, The Beast Wars.
Right, this has to do with the film, right?
Yeah, the new Transformers film. They're bringing in the Beast Wars, the characters into the new Transformers movies. Just when you thought the Transformers movie were dead in the water, here we go again with a whole nother round. So there was a cartoon called Transformers Beast Wars. That was one of the first. There was a first CG computer animated cartoon was called Reboot, and that ran for a long time.
I remember that.
Reboot was fantastic.
I remember
that good show. But the second one that was really the same studio was Transformers Beast Wars. It was one of the first fully computerized animated TV shows. And it's in the canon of Transformers. So there's the Generation 1 out there's Prime, Megatron, we all know. The Beast Wars Transformers are from a far, far future of this. They're descendants essentially of the original Transformers. So they crash land on a planet, and the planet has some weird radiation, and the only Transformers turn into cars, planes, other things. The only way for them to transform and to stay on this planet without the radiation killing them was to kind of transform into animals. So they take the form of animals, the Predacons, which are the bad guys, Predacons, Decepticons, and the Maximals, which are the Autobots, still fighting a war. They're still fighting each other. They look like animals. But they are the descendants of the original Transformers. And as the show goes on, you actually don't know that they're in the future. And spoilers, but in the cartoon, at one point in the show, they find the arc that has they go back in time and find the original Transformers arc, and then they see them, and it's a really good world building show, and it really kind of like brought Transformers as a property back into the mainstream.
Yeah. So obviously you have the new film. So these books are flying high.
Yeah.
And I think these were printed in pretty decent quantities. These were not underprinted, but now that everybody wants them, then they become hard to find. Right. So Transformers Beast Wars, I think you can find these in the cheapo boxes, Alex.
Yeah.
Transformers Beast Wars, The Gathering, February of 2006, Don Figueroa. There's 4 different covers. CGC does not differentiate between the covers. There's 6 9.8s because they were distributed equally.
Yeah.
6 9.8s. It's about a $15 raw book. And then there's the gatefold variant cover, 1 in 150. There's only 2 9.8s. 9.8 recently sold for $900. You cannot find these raw. They're impossible to find. Because how many retailers, Alex, ordered 150 copies?
Not a lot. Midtown, my
Right.
comic shop, maybe Mile High, probably not even Mile High.
Lone Star. Oh, Lone Star is my comic.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Retailer incentive edition, 3 9.8s, $12 to $15 raw. There's a new Dimension Comics variant, 6 9.8s. It's limited to 1,000, $15 to $20 raw. I think these are all good buys raw because these are very hard to find. And then there's the Graham Crackers exclusive 3 9.8s. That's about a $12 to $15 raw, also limited to 1,000. So I think when the film comes out, people are going to be looking for these books. And you know, if you get a 9.8, I think you kind of name your price because the mintage is so low.
Yeah. And it might even spawn a brand new Transformers movieverse property, and then you're still running with money there.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the field below. Thank you for joining us this week. And we will see you all next week. Same bad time.
Same bad channel.